It's October 11th, 2020, and welcome to episode 44 of the BABYMETAL podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server on alternate weeks to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of BABYMETAL. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I'm Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Yon yon, welcome everybody.
And Callie.
Hello everyone.
So, we made it. We're at episode 44. We are a year out from the release of Metal Galaxy. We are a year out from the forum, and we just got a bunch of information about BABYMETAL's 10-year sort of celebration stuff. So we have many things to talk about.
I don't. It doesn't seem like a lot. We'll be done in 20 minutes.
Is what I say to that. Yeah. Some things we expected, some things we did not. But we'll get through many of these things. Yeah, it won't take 20 minutes if I'm involved in speaking. Though I will try to rein myself in just a bit. But so there's a couple of sort of recent news things, and then we can dive into like the main things that have happened. You know, so sort of like minor things that came up. The Songs of Tokyo taping will have happened. It is over. It's been over for about 3 hours. I have heard nothing about it. So
No, neither have I.
I can tell you I was not on it.
Yeah.
No, neither was I. Anyone in the chat?
Yeah, we'd love to know. I'm sure that.
Please speak up.
Exactly. Yeah, I think there must be an NDA or something. But so we'll know. We don't know anything new since the last episode we recorded. Actually, it's going to be on one of the last weekends in October aired. So, well, I guess maybe we could quickly reflect on the fact that the forum was a year ago. We were all standing in a hot parking lot. Crazy
to me that was a year ago already.
What's also crazy is I never got to meet you two. We went to the same show. It's sad.
Yeah, we're there.
That is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I saw you at some point, Callie, throwing like beanbags into a hole or something.
Yeah.
Playing the game Cornhole?
Is that what it's called?
Do you not know the game Cornhole? I guess it is a very American thing, but I'm surprised Paul doesn't know it.
We just call it like bean bag in a hole or something. I don't know.
It's the you stand opposite of each other and you've got two slanted pieces of wood with a hole in it. You throw bean bags. Yeah, it's called Cornhole. You can actually watch it on ESPN2 here in the States sometimes.
Okay, I will do that.
There's competitive cornhole. It almost sounds rude.
Professional cornhole.
Anyway.
Yeah. But
there's your American fact of the day, cornhole.
That's great.
I just Googled it to see what we call it over here. We just call it beanbag toss game.
Nice.
Perfect. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, and that was really quite, maybe we'll reflect on that further when we do our reflections episode, but that was quite an experience. Flying all the way out for just a day.
Yeah.
I love the insanity of it. But actually, I always think of it as the anniversary of the forum, but it's actually the anniversary of Metal Galaxy too. Also doesn't feel like a year old. Okay. Anyway, yeah, we can perhaps reminisce more on that in a future episode. But another thing that really just kind of arrived is there was an interview in Rockin On Japan in November 2019. So some time ago now, and there was finally a good. It's a sort of first pass translation of this. It was kind of a long interview with Sue and a long interview with Moa, and it's really pretty interesting. I would encourage reading it. I think it's possible that. Well, have you guys read it already? It's really recent.
I have. I actually read it this morning because I couldn't go back to sleep.
I see.
No, I haven't actually read all of it yet. Only just what you've got on here.
It's my sense of it is that having read it, I don't exactly feel like I learned things that I didn't know before exactly, but it does feel like it got deeper than some of the stuff we'd heard before.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of it. I would say it reminded me of, was it a Hedoban interview?
Might have been PMC if you're going where I think you're going.
Yeah.
I think, yes.
PMC.
Yes, yeah.
It felt like an expanded version of the PMC interview with longer answers. The interviewer actually getting into some detail on answers and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
And I think specifically the PMC interview that was like the first one where they were wearing the cloaks or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, so I think maybe what you're responding to is both of them talking about that Kansas City show. With great unease.
Yes.
It is interesting the degree to which, they were really sensing the audience and really kind of freaked out about the first show and having a kind of like a pact between themselves to protect each other.
Scripted in chat asks, does it still feel scripted and carefully measured, or do you get a sense that they were more loose and free to speak their minds? For me, I think there's always going to be an element of that, but I think as they've grown into what they are today at 10 years, they're trusted to say what they're supposed to say, not what they're not supposed to say, and speak their minds where able. So I don't think it necessarily reads as scripted, but it definitely reads like somebody who doesn't want to give too much information away, but is willing to open up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it flowed pretty nicely. I mean, like I maybe noticed this. They both did this, both Su and Ma. That there was a sort of a quick back and forth with the interviewer as the thoughts were developed. In a way that really doesn't feel like the scripted stuff that you see.
Right. It's definitely not scripted in the same way everything was scripted in 2016. The last time they were super active doing interviews and things like that. It definitely feels more retrospective and more free.
Yeah.
I think it's also hard to get a great sense of that just because every time I read it, it's a translation, right? And there's always going to be things lost in translation. Yeah,
though I feel like I'm getting some practice at seeing through the fuzz.
Yep, definitely.
But another thing that was kind of featured in there was both of them kind of really talking about their, like the degree to which they kind of sat and thought about like what, particularly in the wake of BABYMETAL leaving, like what is the core here, if it's not 3, what is it that we're trying to do? And it does seem like they both kind of settled on that change and fun are both pretty much core concepts.
Right.
So as long as they can sort of stick to that. Moa said something, let's see, there was something in the Moa interview. Oh yeah, she was talking about like this sort of shift away from the 3 and just talking about kind of like the strength of shapes and things. And she referred to the triangle formation as kind of strong, like it's safe from any angle.
Yeah.
And there was this funny thing where like as you sort of increase the number of people, it becomes more round and soft.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't quite see how that connected to going down to 2. Maybe that just turns into like a spear, but
well, the implication for me there, I think, was that they're down to 2, but dancing is 3. So the triangle's back.
Yeah, it could be.
One other thing I thought that was interesting and worth mentioning is, they were both asked about the departure of BABYMETAL. They both had similar answers. And the image that came to my mind, because they both got really kind of reflective after that time. They were both very supportive of her decision and understood it, wanted to follow her own dream and not continue. And then they were talking about in another part of the interview, how they go out to dinner a lot. So I had this image in my head of them both at a dinner table somewhere, just being super reflective and introspective, trying to plan out the future of BABYMETAL. And it was really amusing to me for some reason.
You do get the sense, though, I think, reading this, that they are full participants. I mean, like they really are kind of like struggling with this idea, and they're. Sue was talking about, even in the recording of things, that there was just a lot more trying different stuff. The recording sessions were much more involved, trying different things that didn't ultimately make it into the recording.
Yeah. There had always been that question of, are they just cogs in the machine? kind of going through the motions. And I think that might have been true to some degree as they were younger, but I think it's pretty clear after reading all the interviews they've had in the last year and a half that they've really assumed ownership and taken a leading role in pushing the group forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moa mentioned about the recording that she thought it was really interesting trying new things like, she tried her hand at rapping. And then sort of simultaneously she contrasted that with the kind of nostalgia that came up from recording Night Night Burn, which they had been sort of like working on even during Magitsune.
Right.
So that it really, not only is it just a song that's long lived, but I mean, like it calls their memories back to that time. And they talk, Moa mentioned that they used to, speak about being possessed by the fox god and not remembering anything when they go on stage. And she says that's no longer true. She remembers it very well. So that's pretty funny to hear. Because it was always, it is neat to see this evolve because, I mean, like you can really see, they were playing a game before, but it's sort of gradually shifted to where we are now where they're still taking it seriously and they're doing it. But the game's changed.
Yeah, they've shifted to industry professionals and not just kids having fun on stage.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to stress about that. There's more there. I took many notes that I didn't mention. You will be happy to hear. But
yeah, we could probably do a whole episode on just that interview. So it's worth reading. We'll make sure the links are below.
So one of the upcoming episodes, I actually haven't seen anybody, show that they have the Kadokawa book yet, because I think maybe it's still only a day or two away from shipping, or MOOC, I should say. It's the magazine/book, but that's going to be full of this kind of stuff, I expect.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's see. In other news, here's a brief one. BABYMETAL has a TikTok account.
Yay!
Okay, moving on.
It will be the same videos that they post on their Instagram and Twitter. It won't be any different.
Right.
I think it's quite good for them because those videos might get pushed into other people's timelines for like maybe to younger fans who've never heard of them. Mm-hmm. So I think that's quite a good move.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, it probably is. I think someone was saying that the video that they put up was kind of too long for the normal format. I didn't really look at it.
They're copy and pasting across all social media. Yeah. So that's going to happen.
They always do.
Another thing that was kind of, I don't know exactly what motivated this, but they re-released Headbanger, the single. I think that may have just been a way to get it under the right label.
Okay.
But it's weird because I don't remember having any difficulty buying this. Like I don't think it was deeply out of print or anything like that. And the other thing is that the old one was actually really cool. Like it had the feature of the old one that I think has not transferred to the new one is that it was actually a data CD as well. So it had the BABYMETAL Death movie on it.
Oh, that's right. Is that on the re-release?
I've seen no mention of it, and the BABYMETAL News Post hypothesized that it's not. That it's actually kind of like a downgrade. It's the same track list, and I think somewhere it does actually say it's a re-release of whatever the catalog number is that starts with a JOB. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I don't think there's anything different about it. I think it's the same audio and fewer video pieces. Right. Okay. I guess that was it on the news things. So we can now dive into 10 BABYMETAL years.
And that's it for this episode.
Right. See you. Yeah, so there's a bunch of big things. I would say that there are kind of two things that stand out as not really being part of it. So the two things I was thinking of are BxMxC, the music video, and this thing that just started called Hone Talk.
One more time? One more time for the people in the back?
I think it's something like Hone Talk. Right? It's like Hone Talk.
Add some more A's in there.
Yeah, well, and actually, if when we get to it, but they have a big logo on the screen, at least sort of in the preview of it, and it was actually written out in Roman letters HONET, and then they have 10 A's, and then LK. So everything is the number 10.
Yes.
But anyway, I think I would say that that's not actually really part of the 10-year thing. I would actually class that a little bit more with the BABYMETAL thing that we had before.
Oh yeah.
But so maybe we can talk about those two things first, and then we can dive into all the 10-year stuff. Does that sound all right?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So somewhat by surprise, I think pretty much entirely by surprise, we kind of knew that we knew the audio was coming.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that suddenly we were going to get the BxMxC video, and it wasn't just lifted from Legend Metal Galaxy. It's amazing.
I audibly said "what" when I got the notification on my phone from their socials, and I think Callie should really take lead here in this segment.
Yeah.
As this is your bread and butter.
Yeah. So what did you think?
We waited so long for an official music video. Like, what a treat! It was a complete shock, and the video itself is just so good. The girls in it just absolutely smash it. So it is just, is it a rap battle?
Seems to be, yeah.
Yes.
That seems to be.
Yeah.
They're making that even
so
more explicit somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's like a really good concept, and the people they're fighting, that's really good. They got their like amazing costumes, and the boss with like that massive mask. But yeah, the same thing kind of happened with when Distortion was uploaded, because that like YouTube thing was uploaded, and we were like, "Whoa, what is this? What is this?" And then the music video was uploaded. So this is kind of the same thing. But this is an actual music video. It's actually amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last one was karate, wasn't it?
I think that's true. I think
Yeah.
the last one that they sort of participated in.
I'm not counting Distortion or Starlight.
Right. Well, there were a couple, they got a couple eyeballs in one of those. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Blink and you'll miss it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose I don't really count the live performance, quote unquote, music videos either.
No, I don't either.
This is a music video as you would expect if you're old and were watching MTV in the 90s.
Yep, exactly. It's basically it's just not from a concert. It's so the BxMxC, BABYMETAL Cypher idea is, as I've always interpreted it, to be something sort of like a metal version of a rap battle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and what they did is they formatted this thing in such a way that it is really sort of like a video game challenge, so they've got Su verses and then Moa verses, and, they each do, in the imagery, they're each doing a verse. Of course, Su is singing the whole time, but, but they, the imagery is the first one is Su's section, and she, wins. And then the second section, the imagery is basically Moa. There's a little bit where Su is shown again in the middle of that. And actually the style kind of shifts in the middle. When we get sort of to the acapella boss part, it does start looking a lot more like karate. It's really sort of lit that way.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it really does. The boss even, I think, looks like one of the masked dudes in karate that they're fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was actually, now thinking back on it, who was that guy?
Yeah, we haven't done an episode on that song yet.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't, I think there are a lot of pretty fast cuts and things. And I actually thought when I was watching Legend Metal Galaxy that I really wouldn't have minded that footage being this video. Like that was pretty well put together as a video itself. But I like that this exists. Now we have both.
Yeah, absolutely. There's criticism floating around on the quick cuts. Mm-hmm. I totally get that, and I agree. I definitely agree with that to an extent. But then my inner editor is like, well, how the hell else do you cut this music video?
Yeah. Well, another thing that was kind of interesting about this video is that it kind of appears like this could have been completely filmed in the pandemic era where they were never in the same room.
No, I hadn't considered that.
because they really are, for the most part, entirely independent. Which I think it kind of, in a way, I kind of respect that, because it means that there was an obstacle and they dealt with it. That's like what they do.
Right.
A part of me thinks that if this pandemic didn't happen, would you think they would have still filmed this video?
You really want to make this episode 3 hours?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I don't know if I have the answer to that.
No. Or maybe they did it purely for the fact that BMC has been so popular, especially since they released Legend Metal Galaxy internationally. I think because that song, I know on Spotify, was like on the top 3 most played songs, or like popular songs at the moment. So they must have seen that and think, whoa, people love it.
Yeah, I think that definitely has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's unprecedented for this group to take one of their exclusive songs and then later release it internationally. So I think the popularity of it definitely speaks to them wanting to produce something.
So lucky. But then they also did play this in the tour in February. Maybe that was a kind of a teaser that we actually are going to release it.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, I would guess that this video would have existed regardless of the sort of world situation, but it might have looked a little different. I mean, I think there might have been a little bit more of them standing together. And
true. That's an interesting question. Is there a shot of them together in the whole thing? I don't think there is.
I think there's some sort of implicit ones where they're silhouetted next to each other, but
right. Not obviously standing on the same piece of green screen.
Right. And I think there's probably no place where you can do that same. I think we talked about this when the Corey Taylor video came out, that like if you go frame by frame, you can see that there's a little bit of a nudge that Moa gives to Sue's shoulder. That sort of shows that they were in the same room.
Right.
But
Investigator Paul.
But yeah. Anyway. So yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, it's a little over the top, but I mean, like, I guess that's in a sense what they were going for.
Yeah.
These like glowing eyes and weird, like, snake neck moves and things.
I would expect nothing less at this point.
That's pretty great. I've kind of alternated between watching the official video and the Legend Metal Galaxy one. And that's the main thing I watch of Legend Metal Galaxy 2, of course, but do they have the new costumes in here? I don't think they do actually
I don't think they
this
do.
video.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So we'll get to there are new costumes we will get to.
But they got smokier eyes.
Yes.
True.
Paul mentioned the BMC shirt.
I see.
Yeah, we didn't mention that.
I haven't mentioned it, have we?
They decided to sell a BMC shirt. It came up in the middle of the night for me and was sold out in like 3 minutes. So hope you got one.
Yeah. Oh, and we didn't mention the single either. Yeah. With the BMC release, there was both a vinyl single, like Distortion.
Oh, man. What would we do without our chat?
Yeah.
Yay.
But
you can finally listen to it on Spotify.
That is nice. It's already on my Spotify, and I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Or it's not actually weird, but they haven't put it back inside Metal Galaxy. It's just on its own.
Oh, weird. I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah. Well, it is on Spotify anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that if you have the international one, then it doesn't fit in there, right? Yeah.
No. But you can just make your own playlist and add it in.
But yeah, so it was, I mean, I guess, we didn't even mention the fact that when the video came out, it was released as a single, which has all the implications that being a single has. So it shows up in Spotify and iTunes and things, I think. I haven't bought it in iTunes yet. I should go check that. But anyway, it's become available, and there is a vinyl record you can buy in principle. But they announced it, and there was the shirt and there was the vinyl record. And when I saw this and said, oh, something's happening, I must act. And so, so I got the vinyl actually, and then I decided I didn't care about the shirt, but then it's very, very quickly went out of stock.
It was. Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. I was like, it happened in the middle of the night, so it was gone by the time I woke up. So that didn't surprise me. When I heard it was gone in like 3 minutes, that blew me away a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't wait. I mean, like, because the vinyl was out. I think it's still out now, but yeah, it was at least listed as sold out pretty quickly, much less quickly than the shirt, but quickly. So and it was really in the middle of the night for a lot of the world. So, I mean, it's always the middle of the night for half the world, but it was ill timed for people in Europe, particularly, or I forget. I must have been up late or something.
Yeah. I managed to get it while I was at work.
Oh, nice. I was gonna say, I think it was mid-morning for most of Europe. Does that sound plausible?
Yeah, I think it was about 11. Yeah, 11 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Paul, you just keep weird hours, so everything is skewed for you.
I think that's probably true. Yeah. But I mean, I lucked out. I'm happy that I was sort of paying attention when it happened, but there's no good reason that I was. I mean, so, oh well.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. It does feel like that was a little overly artificially limited. I mean, at least give people a shot at getting it.
Well, I mean, like Loon says in chat, it was prime time for Japan, and that was the target audience. So,
yep. So the next thing that I think still isn't quite exactly part of the 10 BABYMETAL Years celebration, although it is kind of marketing for it in a way, is this thing that caught us sort of by surprise. So on the 10th, Natalie, the like music journalism site, posted a little article about all the stuff that BABYMETAL's doing for their 10-year celebration. But among the things that they listed was a set of 5 things that, I forget what they actually called it, but it was like a talk show or something. And they gave a list of dates and times for these 5 things. And, it said something like, fans don't want to miss this. This will be a review of the past 10 years. And it sounded very intriguing. But even more intriguing was the fact that immediately they deleted that part of the article. So it's like, okay, what does that mean? And it turns out basically what it meant is that it just got delayed by a day. So the first of those, many of us are well aware, was just broadcast on their YouTube channel, I don't know, some number of hours ago. There are 5. We've seen 1. So in the press release, there's some text. The text is in Japanese, but what it translates to is something sort of like, to celebrate the release of the best album, 10 BABYMETAL Years, the evangelists of steel who have been witnessing legends by conducting numerous interviews from the formation of BABYMETAL to the present, have reconfirmed their whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're tracing 10 years of resistance and unraveling the phenomenon that BABYMETAL has caused. That's kind of the description of this thing that's happening in 5 parts, special programs. Mm-hmm. Which I think if you kind of get through the fuzz of that it's basically, well, I mean, we know it is basically people who have been interviewing them throughout the years, getting together and kind of talking through the story.
Right.
And but the other thing too is that it's called Hone Talk, right? Like we were going on about earlier. And that is like the BabyNet da-da-da thing. That is a parody of something that everybody in Japan's going to know and no one outside of Japan's going to know. So there's something that I think that's kind of funny about this. I don't know to what extent people see this, but when you write this out, so it's a parody of a show called Ame Talk. And when you write that out in katakana, the way they've written it, it's to long again, ka. And that's weird. That's like, that's not the way you write Japanese, but what they've done is they've lengthened the ta part. So it's like a long talk, which is what it is. It's a long talk. It's a long form talk show, which I think is hilarious by itself. But then BABYMETAL borrowed that and made Hone Talk. So I mean, I think the same kind of feeling that I had before about this, about the Japan Net da-da-da, is that, like, I think there's a fair amount of grumpiness that is stemming from the fact that people don't understand what they were doing, and that this was a parody of an existing thing. And I think that also has something to do with why it was basically just aimed right at Japan. Like it was announced in Japanese. It was scheduled at a time that's convenient for weekday nights because it's going to be 5 days in a row. So I don't think it's really supposed to be for people who aren't in Japan. But
right.
So what do you think? We saw the first one.
So once I got past that was it part of my morning, I was like, okay, this is actually kind of neat because we learned who was on the show, right? It's the founder and editor-in-chief of Hedoban, and two music writers who've interviewed and talked to them before. And they're doing things like they were talking about, the first time they heard of them, the first song they listened to, the first time they saw them live, and they were just kind of going through the very, very early years, Doki Doki Morning, Ine, Headbanger, Make It Sine, kind of ending talking about Budokan. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And if they're going to do 5 of these, we'll see who else they get to talk about or see who else they bring on, if anybody. And it might be kind of interesting to hear what their thoughts are over the last 10 years of Baby Metal.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. They did pick people who I think have done deep and numerous interviews with them over the years too. I mean, like the Hedoban guy for sure. But Tomonori Shiba is another one who's done. So that person was given as Shiba Metal. Naoyuki Umezawa, who was given as Uma Metal. He's the founder of Hedoban. And then there was someone else, Ato Daishi, who's listed as Dachang Metal. And that Dachang Metal actually was also in the BABYMETAL Da Da Da, sitting on a roof or something.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I mean, so the one thing about it is that it's short. It was shorter than I was anticipating. But the whole thing was like 8 minutes long, and it was really sort of sandwiched in the middle of the kind of like 10-year preview, video. So there's a sort of merchandising look to it because it kind of starts and ends with this is part of the 10-year celebration. Then they do the talking part, and then at the end they do here are the things you can buy.
Well, it was the same 1 minute thing. Yeah.
When they started to play the intro to Doki Doki Morning, I really thought they were just going to play music videos.
I did too.
Like, is this really it?
Yeah. I did too.
But, yeah, I was like, oh no, I'm just going to watch Doki Doki Morning, the music video. Yay.
But I think I'm somewhat optimistic about how this will develop. I mean, like, when you think about this was basically like Act 1 of 5, and this is kind of the way you would start. Like, what did you think of them at the beginning? What was your first encounter with them like? And then what I'm hoping is, because they are all interviewers, I'm hoping that we will actually get some actual interview segments or references to individual interviews that they did. That would be sort of the ideal. But it's weird that the thing was only like, a 5-minute segment surrounded by a couple more minutes of marketing.
Yeah, I think it's like 6.5, 7 minutes followed by the 1 minute video by our stuff. Yeah. And if they're doing that 5 times, a little 30-minute retrospective talking to people who've interviewed them over the years, I think that could be interesting. And I'm not ruling out the possibility that, they might bring in like Marty Friedman or other English-speaking folks, journalists that have talked to them over the years, or themselves at the very end. Who knows? I like to remain optimistic about things like that. But if they don't, they don't. I try and set my expectations appropriately.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see some Megitsunes on there.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, did you think this is it's kind of a neat little thing? I think there was because everything is kind of obscured by translation issues and things, and not being aware of the existence of Ami Talk and stuff. There was some expectation, at least among the English speaking fans, that didn't get borne out, that this was going to be something different somehow, even though the press release did basically say we're going to be talking to people who have interviewed them. Another thing that I actually found it quite helpful. This actually very often happens in the like the little interstitial movies and things like that. Whenever there's some kind of narration or some kind of discussion, they actually have the Japanese characters down there as a subtitle. And that was actually super helpful because, technology has advanced enough that I could point my phone at it. And, as it was happening, I could basically see what they were saying.
Right.
So I wasn't really lost. I mean, you have to kind of approximate it, but you can still see what they were saying. And I think if I were just watching it without that assistance, it would have been a little harder to focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that helped a lot. So if you are watching a future one, it's possible that they're all aired before this actually hits the feed. But if you are watching a future one, maybe try that, because that helps.
Yeah, and to that effect, I'll be honest, I've been frustrated all morning with at least the bubble I'm in of English-speaking fans complaining about not having English subtitles or doing things in English, just because of the sense of entitlement and lack of appropriate expectation that is going around. And it's really irritating to me as an English speaker, because I try and look at everything as a whole. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm entitled myself in that way, but like, do people even listen to themselves when they're enraged about this kind of stuff? Like, this is an international group, and here's the entire English fan base complaining about no subtitles. What about the people who speak Spanish? What about the people who speak Russian, Chinese, Taiwanese, all these other languages? You know, everybody's getting all up in arms about this, and I just don't think it's justified. If you're a fan of a Japanese band, that's part of it.
Right.
Like, and nothing they have done in the past leads you to believe that they will ever do things natively in English when they're in Japan like this. I don't know why we'd start now.
But I mean, and actually that's part of why I wanted to focus a little bit at the beginning there on the fact that this is a parody of a thing that everyone in Japan knows and no one outside of Japan knows. No one knows Ame talk, except the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, we find it interesting, but these are also, you know, what the people they're talking to are people who have interviewed them in Japanese, right? And
yeah,
like those articles they wrote are in Japanese.
Yeah.
So
I think perspective on this is really important too. You know, this thing airs at 9 p.m. JST. That's 5 a.m. for me on the West Coast of the U.S. If you're listening to this podcast or participating in really any of the online communities, you're less than 1% of the fan base. The rest of the world has no idea that this thing even happened. You know, they're going to be waking up to it and seeing it on their YouTube feed, you know, if they're doing that. And I'm sure the fact that the group they follow in Japan on YouTube is doing things in Japanese isn't even a second thought.
Yeah. Well, and you know, if somebody looks at it and says, you know, they can sort of skim over it and see, well, you know, whatever, it's not critical for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting they did it, and I think it's funny. You know, I do think that there is a certain comedy that is being put into this stuff. I mean, these two parodies of you know, culturally pervasive things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing that bothers me too is, you know, if they didn't do this, everybody would just be complaining that they didn't do anything at all. So it's like, you know, how do you even win with some of these people? And it's ruined my morning. It's ruined my morning. Like, I got up at 5 a.m. to watch this thing, and I just got so irritated that I couldn't fall back asleep.
Sorry.
Just of all the negativity. And I'm just like, I just want to enjoy this band from Japan, you know? And I usually do a pretty good job of keeping my social feeds curated to kind of keep that away. But every now and again, it just creeps in because it gets so big, it's unavoidable. And, you know, I just want to enjoy some music and enjoy this quirky group from Japan.
Yeah.
Why does there have to be baggage with everything they do?
And we can also remember that we just got BMC, you know, I mean, like, we got something, that's a new thing. We didn't have that from them before, and they pretty clearly recorded that more recently than anything else. Mm-hmm. All right. Are we done? Is there more that we'd like to say? That's
the end of my soapbox.
No, it's okay.
Sorry. I needed to get that off my chest.
Yeah, no, I felt it too. I mean, like, you know, there's I guess I tried pretty hard to contextualize this, and, you know, and seeing that it was this Japanese aimed parody of a Japanese thing, you know, I think really did temper my expectations of what it was going to be. So, and I think that plays into it a lot. You know, if you were really expecting something much different from this, A, I don't know why, but B, I can see why it would be disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, and before anybody says anything, of course I would love there to be English subtitles, or subtitles in any other language for that matter. Of course, that's something that would be cool and really great as somebody who, speaks trash tier Japanese and gets every other word on their best day. But that doesn't mean I lose sight of the context and perspective of the bigger picture of what they're doing.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the big thing. So we reached October 10th. Well, I actually, to be honest, don't barely remember how this all unfolded. But at some point we learned that there's a whole pile of things that are happening. BABYMetalNews.com has a nice sort of breakdown summary of the things, but on the BABYMETAL site, there's actually a special site for it. It's BABYMETAL.com/10 BABYMETAL years.
Mm-hmm.
And it lists 10 slots of things, and a teaser thing, which kind of describes at least some of these things. I think it's maybe actually mostly talking about the media releases, the teaser. But so the first one is a best of type album. Second is 10 Legend Songs Tournament. Third one is Stay Metal, Stay Rockmacan, which is a streamed concert. The fourth one is 10 BABYMETAL Legends, which is a trivia contest. And the fifth one is the one we've already sort of talked about before, which is the Kadokawa book magazine thing. And then there's 5 more slots, which are just labeled, they're labeled only the Fox God knows. So we don't know what those last slots are. One thing we do know, I think, is that they do not contain Hone Talk. So we didn't burn a slot on that.
Right.
But so they're still on, even now, whatever it is, the 11th. We don't know all of the things for the 10th, right? Mm-hmm. We have half of those slots are still unknown, and even in the release things, there's a slot that we don't know. So
I'm just glad they're doing something and they figured out an alternative plan because their previous plans got ruined by COVID-19. So at this point, I'll just take anything I can get.
Yeah.
And we're getting things, and that's okay. My wallet's not happy, but we're getting things.
No. But my heart is.
My heart is, yes.
Well, I think this is pretty elaborate, actually. As we go through this.
Absolutely.
So, and they have some pretty funny ideas in here too. Maybe we can start with, we have a new photo. We can retire that weird haired, galaxy photo that we had before.
Oh, yeah.
It's now very yellow.
Yes.
It's very yellow. And now you can see more of the costumes.
To me, it kind of looks like they're going for more of a bronze look. I know there's a massive filter over this. You can't really tell the exact color of their costume. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's gold, and it looks more sturdy along the chest and the shoulders, more like a warrior outfit. Mm-hmm. And I think this costume isn't the same as the one of that teaser of the book, because those triangles aren't there on Sue's, or maybe it is. I don't know. You can't really see.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, because on that other photo, it's black and white triangles.
Yeah, so this is I guess this is the cover of the Kadokawa book that we're talking about.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
And it looks like the little things. What did we decide? Brooch.
Brooch. Yeah.
Those look like they match, but I don't know beyond that. But these are
Sue's looks amber, but Moa's looks black.
Yeah. And stylistically, these are quite close to the prior ones. I mean, they're different.
They're very, very similar. And Moa has sleeves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that.
Oh, and she has like a little floaty bit of fabric on her arm as well, and Sue doesn't.
Interesting. I'm maybe a little bit surprised at the degree to which it's only a minor variation. That it isn't.
Yeah. Normally they just completely change the outfit, don't they?
Well, it's certainly much less of a shift than we had, going into 2018 and then coming out of, or, then going into Dark Knight Carnival, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then coming out of that.
But it was still gold.
Yeah.
But, because one thing that really hasn't come up, is that this is supposed to be the end of the metal resistance. Like, whatever that was that we did for the past 10 years is over.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so the next thing is not going to be episode 11. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be episode 1? Is it not going to be an episode? But it's interesting that this really might just be about like what goes in the lore movies, because it doesn't seem to have shifted the costume.
Yeah, well, I wonder, we probably won't get another episode until we get another big live, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually signifies the beginning and end of eras with this group. And I would wager we would be on a new episode as of, well, today. Right. Or yesterday in Japan, because there was supposed to be what we assume was going to be a concert where this could have all kicked off. So we might end up in the Metal Resistance for the foreseeable future.
No, but actually, I think it ticked over on Fox Day, right? I mean, like, or when that clock, there was the clock on the one site that said, welcome to episode 10, and that didn't correspond to a concert. So I don't think it starts at a concert necessarily. I think it just contains them.
I'd say the majority of them have, though, haven't they?
Don't know.
Well, at least for this one, we know 1010 was supposed to be Doomsday and the end of Metal Resistance, which hasn't happened that we know of.
Yeah, or at least we don't know the consequences of that happening.
Right.
It didn't change the costume much. Incidentally, it's also Doomsday in the sense of that id Software considers it Doomsday because that's when Doom 2 was released. I thought that was actually kind of funny.
Side note, the soundtrack is amazing.
You mean for Doom 2?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm not playing it, but Tom is. But yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah, the first one's really good too.
Yeah, actually it does some BABYMETAL song that actually reminds me of M1E1 or whatever it's called. But so I guess we can maybe work through the things. Probably the most complex one is the best album, the 10 BABYMETAL Years best album. They're really just pushing hard on this 10 thing. So there are 10 different kinds that you can get.
10 new members.
Yeah.
Oh God, don't start that.
No.
But and actually the other thing is the release date is December 23rd, which means it's if you're trying to get this out of Japan, you aren't going to see it till 2021 probably.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But there are 10. We know what the first 9 are, and the 10th one is still a question mark. So we don't know what that is. They're all kind of centered around this best of album, which is something, it's got 10 tracks, and it is some selection of what, we don't know what those tracks are, but it's, some 10 tracks. Presumably it's approximately, like 3 from each album?
I just don't know, Paul.
I just don't know anymore.
It actually seems fairly likely that what it's going to look like is a set list, It's most likely going to be the songs they play on tour.
Maybe? I think we need to just caveat this whole segment with a maybe?
Yeah. Well, here's one thing. Here's 9 things we know for sure. So there's a standard edition. That's the cheap one. That's the total basic one. You can get the CD for 2,000 yen. There's a vinyl version of this as well, and that's 5,000 yen. It's interesting that I guess that counts as both one. So it's either one CD or one vinyl. It's not 2 things in our list of 10.
Right.
And then basically the rest of the things, there's 3 different first press limited editions. There's 2 the 1 limited editions. And then there are 3 that you can't even buy, which I think is hilarious.
Just bang my head against my microphone.
Yeah. So, so all of these have the regular CD. The first press limited edition A has a Blu-ray with 16 music videos on it, and that is 3,800 yen. I think that's actually really cool. First of all, okay, so it has 16 videos on it, which means they had to release BMC because that's the 16th. And we also have Blu-ray now. Like, we've never had them that good before, I don't think.
Giffers rejoice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's, I think we've had some, like, 1080p broadcasts with, like, little station bugs in the corner for some of them, but... So I think that's cool. First Press Limited Edition B has, I don't fully understand this one. I mean, like I see what they're doing, but I don't know how to use it. So it has CD and then it has 10 different 12-inch sized, like LP sized, vinyl sized jackets with artwork on them.
Mm.
Freshly taken non-GMO photographs.
Right. Free range.
Free range, farm fresh. I only say that because if you translate what it actually says in Japanese directly using DeepL or Google, it says fresh photographs.
Oh my God.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I've just been writing that because I think it's really funny. Fresh photographs.
Farm fresh.
Farm fresh.
But I think as far as I understand it, it comes with a CD and then 10 things that you can put on LPs. It doesn't actually come with an LP.
Right.
So you don't have anything to put them on. And I mean, it occurred to me you could, I suppose, buy 11 vinyls, like 11 vinyl editions, and then put your covers on 10 of them.
Or some frames, Paul. It's standard size.
I suppose that's true.
If they're photos, I'm hoping they're good, and they're not so big that it, won't take 3 rooms to display them.
Right.
So if you want to display them, it should be an achievable goal.
Yeah. But okay, so that's I don't know if I said it's 4,800 yen. Okay, and then First Press Limited Edition C has that one seems kind of like the deluxe one, except that you might want the things in the other First Press Limited Edition. So ultimately, you get them all. But the Limited Edition C comes with a poster. And the main thing that it comes with is a Blu-ray called 10 Legend Movies, which is going to have live footage from songs that win a song tournament that we will talk about later.
Please, God, vote for From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and this vote hasn't happened yet, I implore you to use your one vote to vote for that song.
Please.
Yeah. However, it's tiered. So there's certain things that have to happen, I think, before that, right? Or is it already eliminated immediately? Let's see, From Dusk Till Dawn, where is that? Oh, it's in that crazy tier. So it's up against Up, Down, Left, Right, BBAB. Mm-hmm. The winner of that is up against Brand New Day. And the winner of that is up against Headbanger.
Yeah. I know. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I know it's on the bracket in that place for a reason.
Yeah.
But I just want to dream. Let me dream.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of cool though. So basically, essentially, we are picking as a group, 10 songs that they will then take live footage from and put it on a Blu-ray, and that's coming with First Press Limited Edition C. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. And actually, for a while, I thought there was going to be a CD too, but I think there isn't. I don't think there's a CD with those songs on it. I think the only thing that comes out of this is the Blu-ray. But I mean, like, you could just make a playlist, really.
Yeah.
So that one was 4,000 yen. Now there are the one sets. I would say the real one is the one set Limited Edition B, but there's this goofy one, which is the one Limited Edition set A, which is the Karate Battle set, which basically comes with the CD and then like this card game. So it has a CD that's sort of used to play the game, I guess. CD with battle track, and it has 42 battle cards and a battlefield, and it's 12,000 yen.
It's stupid, but I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I really love that idea. I mean, this is one of those sort of comic things that I really appreciate.
Yeah. And if you don't know, this is not something they just made up. It's a thing. It's a playing card game of all kinds, all over Japan. So it's not unique. It's a real thing being baby metalized here.
Yeah.
Not unlike the Hone talk.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and they did something like this with their first album. I am trying to remember exactly. I don't remember what it's called, but they had a version of their first album, which was actually, when you got it, it came in a what looked like basically like a 12-inch LP sized thing. It actually didn't have any media in it. It just had a code that you could download the first album with. But it had a little like cardboard Budokan stage and some little like action figure things that you could cut out and prop up on it. It was and I think there were actually little rules for the game that you would play with it. So they've done something sort of like this before.
Right.
I like it. I like that a lot. I think this is the most playful of the options here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually pick that one.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like they really are. There are 10 different things, and at least 6 of them have like interesting variants on them.
God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Koba.
Yeah. Well, and some of these, I forgot to mark this down here, but I think the 1 editions have a pretty limited time window to buy them. Like, I think the battle set actually is just days. Like, I think you have a couple days left as we record before you can't buy it anymore. But the other one is a little later than that, but not a lot. I think the buying window is really quite tight on these.
Yeah. I think they'll probably be gone by the time this airs.
It is possible, yeah. And I mean they're pre-orders, but I thought I'd heard actually that the Karata battle set is out of stock already. Which
really,
I don't know what that means. Maybe it means that they really did just have a commitment for a certain number. They were assembling them or whatever. But I mean, like it could be that they only had, how many do you think they sold? I don't even know. 300.
Good question.
But
I can still add it to my card on ASmart.
Okay,
so.
Good. But yeah, I mean, like the thing is that all of these things have something that would make you want it specifically. The only thing I did not get was the standard CD, which is absurd.
No, I didn't either.
But, although it is possible, there are store bonuses too. So if you buy these things from different stores, they'll have different specific things. So
yeah,
the things Osmart has a sticker sheet, but if you got them from Amazon, then you get a ticket file. And Tower and HMV each have clear files. Tsutaya Records has a magnetic sheet. Rakuten has a big badge. Disc Unit has a carabiner. Right?
So much stuff to collect.
Yeah.
Good luck.
But Toys Factory store has a postcard set. That was the one that I was thinking about. Like, if I was going to get the standard CD from anywhere, I might get it from there just for that store bonus. But at the same time, that's a lot really for a postcard set that may not matter much.
This is the first time I've made an ASmart order and thought the shipping was justified.
Mm-hmm.
Because you bought a lot.
Because I bought it all.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. We haven't talked about the Chronicle set yet, I think, right? So the one limited edition, which is I think the more sort of serious one, is the limited edition B Chronicle set. And that one has a CD. It has 2 Blu-rays. So here's what I think I'm reading. The one set, limited edition B, has 1 Blu-ray that is live footage from all the songs that are on the CD, the regular CD that is with all of these except the vinyl.
Uh-huh.
And the other Blu-ray is interviews, retrospective interviews with Su and Moa going back 10 years. I mean, at least recounting 10 years. I don't know if the interviews themselves go back that long, but their discussion does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's different between the Blu-ray with limited edition B and First Press C is that First Press C has a Blu-ray drawn from the tournament, and limited edition B has a Blu-ray with the tracks drawn from the CD. Does that sound right?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
There's been circulating this funny little chart, which I was consulting just a minute ago. In the columns it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Which correspond to these different things. So limited edition A is 2 and limited edition B is 3 and so forth. And then the rows are all the things. So there's the 10-song CD. There's a profit card, which we haven't talked about yet. The music video, Blu-ray, the 10 legendary artworks, the 10 legendary movies Blu-ray, the poster, and sort of little X's in all the places where they're contained. But so it looks like the 10 legendary movies, that's the one that is based on the tournament. And then there's a 10 best live songs, which I think only seems to exist on the one set B. Okay. There will be a test, and you will not pass that test.
You need a degree to understand all this.
Anyway, but back to this. We haven't actually gone through this. The Chronicle set has the CD. It has these 2 Blu-rays, the probably most interesting of these being the interview one. It has a big flag, and it has a 72-page photo book called Apocalypse 10 BABYMETAL Years. So that's the one. That's the one set.
I'm pretty excited for that photo book.
Yeah.
10 years of photos.
Just because of the photo. But...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the big flag. So.
Oh, yeah.
Another big logo flag.
Yeah.
Yay.
You really do need to live in a gymnasium or something like that to fit all this stuff on a wall. But yeah, so I mean, really what's going to happen is it's going to go with all my other rolled up posters on the shelf. But anyway, yeah, so that does look cool. So we've gotten through numbers 1 to 6, where 1 is both a CD and a vinyl. I mean, like 1 is split into 2. But we also know what 7, 8, and 9 are. And they are, this again feels like Koba comedy, but so these are special profit versions, like profit with a PH in the middle, because you can't buy them, right? So they wouldn't be profit with an F. But so they're special versions of the CD with songs picked by Su-metal for one of them, Moametal for the second, and Koba-metal for the third. So they picked 10 songs. They put them in some order. They made like a little mixtape, playlist for you. And I think for pre-orders and for anything, I think it's sort of anything that's like non-standard, like the first press editions and the one editions, you get a profit card, which lets you list out what 10 songs you think are on whichever profit card you get. So you get a random one. It's going to either be Koba or maybe they're all going to be Koba just to be mean. But it'll be one of those, and you fill it out, and you have to figure out what 10 songs it is out of whatever that is, like 40, 42 songs. And you have to get them in the right order. And if you do, you might get one of these profit editions. I don't know for sure if you will get one. I think it's possible that nobody in the world is going to actually get the right songs in the right order for any of these. So they might well just be able to guarantee it.
Somebody on Reddit did the math. Loon posted the number in our chat.
Yeah.
How many digits do you think that number is?
Let's see. Well,
maybe I should ask, how many commas do you think that has?
4, 5. So it's 16 digits. So 1 in 5 and 16 zeros.
I think that's 5 trillion, right? Does that sound right?
Oh, it's more than that, right? So
is it?
Let's see. Those are millions. Yeah, no, you might be right. No, well, I don't know.
Quadrillion?
It's quadrillion. I've never even heard of that.
It's whatever's. I think it's whatever's after trillion.
Quadrillion, yeah, 5 quadrillion, 339 trillion, 572 billion, 260 million.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, the odds of succeeding, like you could probably win a couple of lotteries and just buy the company with more likelihood.
Yeah. If you win this thing, go buy a lottery ticket immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have more chance of meeting the girls themselves than winning this?
Jeez.
Yeah.
If somebody does win it, this will be by far the most expensive piece of merchandise ever.
Yeah. Well, so
full stop.
I think you can. So you can enter multiple times. So you might be able to cut that in half. 1 and 2.5 trillion or whatever that is, quadrillion. But
what do you think is like 1 per code, 1 per profit card, maybe?
Yeah, I think you get 1 profit card for each thing you got. So if you bought 6 things, you probably have 6 chances.
Ooh,
but
I feel better already.
Yeah. Anyway, but and actually, the other thing too is that you have But it's multiplied by 3 again too, because you don't know which of them you're going to get, so you randomly get a Su-metal, Moametal, or BxMxC one.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah. So this really does feel like, a Koba joke, does it not?
Oh, it really does.
I mean, it's like that pillow. Okay, you buy a CD, get a stamp, buy a DVD, have a postcard that you put the stamp on the postcard to enter a lottery for a pillow.
People actually won the pillow, though.
Yeah.
Your odds were way better to get that pillow than winning one of these CDs.
Right.
This thing better come with like a signed Checky or something.
Yeah. So what I was thinking, I guess I had, so timeline wise, these profit cards are part of the things that you order, which means nobody's going to get these before, December 23rd. Right. So I was going to say, I was wondering if there would be hints somewhere. We have all the way until then before a hint that we get could help. But it does seem like with odds like this, there's going to be a hint somewhere. And I thought maybe it was going to be on these YouTube things, but I no longer think that. Just because it doesn't seem like the right place for it. But something that would say, something that would say like, well, I put this one first, says Sue in an interview. Or I put this one after that one. Or if I used that one, I would have put it last. Or whatever. Because otherwise it's just impossible. I mean, like it's actually just impossible, really.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so those are 7 to 9. And then 10 is not yet revealed, so we don't know what that is. But it's probably going to be very, very desirable and very expensive. That is my prediction.
Yeah.
I think I want to leave that in just exactly like that. You sighing, and then 20 seconds of a pause, and then you sighing again. Right. There's a relatively funny classic episode of The Simpsons, which has Sideshow Bob, chasing them, and at one point he shows up and steps on a rake and slams himself in the face, and then it zooms out and he's standing in a ring of rakes, which he just kind of walks around, slams himself in the face. What I love about that is that scene goes on for way longer than you think it should. It just keeps going. And that's what I heard in your sound there.
Yep.
But, all right. So anyway, those are the things that they're selling, and if you add them all up, they do come to a lot. I think they come up to something that's in the neighborhood of 60,000 yen, something like that. It's pretty rough, but at the same time, the Big Fox Festival set was already by itself, I think, $350 or whatever. So it's not. Oh
yeah, that is the most expensive thing I've ever bought.
It is a lot, but it is a lot of pieces too. I mean, if you got all of these things.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to find it's going to take the other half of my shelf. But anyway, so we can maybe move on to talk about the other things, which will not take as long, I don't think. But so we mentioned the tournament. Do we want to talk more about that?
Sure. So in a fight to the death, we've been talking about all this merch, and you can buy a CD that has 10 songs on it and things like that. They're doing a tournament via their Instagram where they're pitting these songs against each other and letting the community choose winners and choose things to put on those discs. I'm not going to go through the whole bracket. We'll link that in the description. But it's as frustrating as you can imagine, having to pick between these. And it's very clearly laid out in such a way as to try and guide the fan base in a certain direction to which songs end up on the final product. As we alluded to earlier with From Dusk to Dawn's bracket, for example. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. It's a fun thing, an interesting way to engage the community that I haven't really seen before. So I'm having fun arguing with everybody about what to pick.
Right. A cynical thought is, they had to guide it because, they've already pressed all these CDs. But I guess they do have time still. But so far we've had Ijime Dame Zetai against Arcadia, and we've had Dada Dance against Ine. and Ijime Damezetai 1, Arcadia is out. Dada Dance 1, and Ine is out. I don't know if I'm surprised. Right. I think that one of the Dada Dance 1 was close. That was
very close. I think that was like 51-49 or something.
Yeah,
it was so close. It
was like 50-50 for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gimme Chocolate beat Abadama Fever. That's not too surprising. Onidare Daisaksen beat Song 4, and that I was very annoyed by having to make that choice.
I was too.
I couldn't pick.
I mean, just put those on put them against something else. Because anyway. So Onidare Daisaksen won. I like Song 4 a lot, but I think that's probably the right result.
Honestly, there's no losers. There's no losers on that side, in my opinion.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter which one won because Gimme Chocolate's going to win over whichever one won.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm talking about Song 4 and Onidare.
Yeah.
There's just no loser between the two for me. I love them both.
Yeah. No, it's true. They're both ones that I often will start at, But so as we're recording, we have Karate against Kagero. We have Catch Me If You Can against Elevator Girl. We have Doki Doki Morning against Syncopation, and we have Akatsuki against Amore.
These are really messed up.
Yeah.
Who decided this?
Yeah. I mean, I got to applaud them. Like, this is a great way to get the community engaged and talking. If you built the bracket in such a way that it was like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to pick that. It wouldn't be nearly as fun or interesting. So I got to applaud him for that, as frustrating as it is.
Yeah. It does look like so. Paul in the chat has put like the current standings. It does look like for the most part they're not right in the middle. I mean, like most of them are sort of like 70-30-ish. It seems to be about how they all are operating.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little surprised Akatsuki and Amori aren't closer. I would have expected that one to be a little closer to 50-50. But Akatsuki is crushing Amori.
Yeah. And yeah, that was going to be my guess actually, that was the way it would go. I am a little surprised with Syncopation though. Oh no, I'm not. Never mind. I misread it. Doki Doki Morning is crushing Syncopation, and that is exactly what I expected would happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of this is really, what it is like, I'm trying to think like, what will everybody else do? Because I can't decide between these, but I'm just trying to think what everyone else will do. But as we were talking about before, like the consequence of this is that whatever the song list is, those songs are going to be put on a live Blu-ray. And that's the thing. If Up, Down, Left, Right, BBAB, if that wins, they have to make a new one because there isn't one. And if From Dusk Till Dawn wins, they have to use the Palladium.
I really want it to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it has no chance.
I know, but that would just be the cherry on top of the 10 years.
God, it really would be. And it would be such a big middle finger, or whatever your middle finger equivalent is in your country, to BABYMETAL to have to release that footage.
Yeah. We love you, Koba, but still. It's
if you're going to give me a chance to rebel, I'm going to rebel, damn it.
Anyway, yeah, so it's fun and it's goofy, and it'll be over, at some point fairly soon here, I think. Oh, look at that. From Dusk Till Dawn is up against Up, Down, Left, Right, BBAB. So you know which way that's going to go.
Yeah, I know.
Because no one would. This is all very strategically planned.
But it's going to lose to Headbanger in the end anyway, so.
It will.
Yeah.
It
doesn't matter. I could be wrong. I don't know. You never know. Yeah. Maybe people will look at this and go, oh, wait. We have an opportunity here. We can rally as a fandom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody talk to one person and have that person talk to one person until everybody votes for the right things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, right, I guess basically what it needs to be is we need to vote down Up, Down, Left, Right, BBA and B, Brand New Day, Headbanger, and Shanti. Best of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is that what we're going to wind up with is IDZ, Give Me Chocolate, Karate, Akatsuki, BMC, Road of Resistance, Papaya, Magitsune, Brand New Day, and Shine. That's where I think we're going to wind up.
It's pretty easy to predict, I think, to a pretty high degree of accuracy.
But we'll see. I actually, when I was thinking about this, I do feel like the older songs have an advantage. Like that list I just listed off actually has very little from Metal Resistance. Because, the old songs are the ones people love, and the new songs are new, so they're novel. And Metal Resistance is there stuck in the middle. But, okay, next thing. What's the next thing? Yes, okay, so we talked about a couple times the Rockmecon Club, right? That Big Metal's the Legend Corset Festival was at the first show. And the fact that they were going to try to do some kind of project, which they were calling Rockmecon 10 days or something, because Koba can't think of any number but 10. So now we know. Now we do have something. We have the Rockmecon. What is it? There's some name for it.
Stay Metal, Stay Rockmecon.
That's what I was looking for. Yes.
Yes.
But it's sometime in December. There's the one only stream. So it says, let's see, Rockmecon, this is the little press release for it. Rockmecon has been and continues to be a sacred venue and a starting point for BABYMETAL. Years after that legendary performance, BABYMETAL is excited to announce an all-new exclusive performance of BABYMETAL returning to the Rockmecon, and only the one members have the opportunity to see this performance. Discuss.
So I'm really glad that they're doing a stream and they're going to do a concert. That's in vogue, and it's been proven effective by countless other groups in Japan and around the world. I'm a little miffed that it's the one only. Not because I'm not a the one member. I am one of those idiots that buys the t-shirt every year. I think that's a missed opportunity to not make this available to everybody. And I think it's just going to result in a lot of piracy. Especially with everything going on right now in the world. I think the community could use something like this, and putting it behind a paywall inside a paywall is a little scummy. And, I get it. They want to sell the t-shirt and make people join the one. But, asking people to do that in December when it ends traditionally in April, notwithstanding, I think this one's gone a little too far for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they would make so much more money if they did open it up, like an unbelievable amount.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I had this conversation with one of my friends the other day, actually, and I'm unconvinced of that, because I think there's still a large portion, particularly in Japan, that might buy the shirt just for this, that were maybe on the fence about joining the one this year, and I'm guessing numbers are down just because of 2020 being 2020, so they're pushing the shirt. So I don't know. Does selling a 5,000 yen? How much are these shirts? I don't remember.
I think that's right. 5,000, I think.
Yeah. So selling. Most of these streams have shown up around the 1,000 to 2,000 yen. Some of the bigger groups have gone all the way up to 4,000 yen for these streams. So if we consider that the ticket falls between the 1,000 to 2,000 yen average, does not having as many people buying that, but more people spending 5,000 plus 1,000 on the ticket work out to about even? It might. I'm sure there's people at Amuse that are smart enough to have crunched the numbers. So I bet it's closer than we think.
I think there actually is probably some aspect of, wanting to give something special to the one. That's not really just like buying a thing. I mean, this is only slightly different, but I have a couple of suspicions about this. One is that I would be pretty shocked if this didn't show up on a later released Blu-ray. So I think it's not going to be the only chance to see it. Is like, through laggy video across the ocean.
Almost certainly.
Okay, yeah. I never thought of that.
I mean, it may still be sold only to the one, but
yeah.
But the other thing that they could also do is just have another concert. They could do like what they did last year, where they say, we're playing at the Forum, and everybody buys Forum tickets. And then they say, oh, also we're playing right next door to you.
Right.
You're like, all right, well, buy some more tickets, I guess. But so if they did the one show and then another one that was more open, like they did with Legend S, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could sort of do both things.
Yeah.
Actually, one other thing that's worth mentioning too about this RockMcCon thing is that it's intended to kind of support the both the venue and some of their own staff too. So it's a portion of the proceeds they say will be distributed to RockMcCon and to the BABYMETAL touring staff who have been impacted by COVID-19. So,
which is really cool. Yeah. I'm really glad they're doing that. And that is in vogue, but I'm still going to give them credit for that.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, we also don't know if more things are going to get scheduled, but that's pretty cool. It's it seems very far away now. Like, I don't know, but it's going to be hard to wait till then. But of course, it actually really is only like a month and a half or something, probably.
Right.
So
I'll be watching.
Yep. Yeah.
I really hope, on a side note, that it's not at 4:00 in the morning. I know it's probably going to be for me at 4:00 in the morning.
It'll probably be when I'm at work as well. But
yeah. Because I really just want to blast it. I don't want to have to wear headphones.
Right.
I want to drape like a duvet over my TV and just have me underneath it. So I'm just kind of in the zone with the TV and nothing else.
Yeah, I want a mosh in my living room. I can't do that in the morning with neighbors.
No. Well, you could.
Right. Yeah, particularly if it's like Sunday morning because it's a Saturday evening concert or whatever.
Exactly.
And I guess the last sort of item here is this trivia contest, 10 BABYMETAL Legends, which is another the one only thing. And another kind of Koba joke. I don't know. So it hasn't started yet. It will start on October 19th. So, which might be, I hope this is on the feed before then, but, and it's going to have 10 questions. It will go through December 7th. So I guess it's probably going to end somewhere in the region of when this RockMcCon show is.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you do, like you answer the trivia question, and if you get it right, you get a wallpaper and a code word. And I don't know what you do with the wallpaper. I mean, put it on your phone, I guess, or something.
You print it and put it on your wall.
You could do that.
In your room.
Yeah. So yeah, and then you got to leave space for 10. So, but and then if you get them all right, then there's a place that you can enter them all in, which enters you to be able to win a certificate stating that you are, I forget what the actual word is, but it includes evangelist.
Right.
So you can be one of 10 certified evangelists.
Fox God evangelist or something.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. But, and apparently the I don't actually know how we know this, but it has been said that if you get the answer wrong, you can try again. So I don't think it's actually very hard to get to the lottery if you just keep trying until you get it right.
And I'm sure the correct answers will be posted online within minutes of them being available.
Yeah. I think it will be interesting to see what kind of questions they ask. Yeah, because this kind of thing exists in like the fan base. People will make little quizzes and ask you about like what is someone's favorite kind of chocolate or whatever kind of stuff that came in out of some interview. But I don't think that's going to be what they officially would come up with. So then I wonder what would be. Is it going to be something sort of like what was their first single? Which show did Yui fall off the stage?
Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen in Koba's world. So
yeah, that's right.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of questions they ask. Can you give answers in English? I presume so.
Well, now that's interesting. Had not occurred to me.
Yeah.
I do actually view a lot of this stuff. Just I turn on Chrome's translate function, so I barely know what is supposed to be in Japanese and what is supposed to be in English. But yeah, that's true. I don't know. We'll see.
Wait and see.
Yeah. Pretty soon. That reminds me too that I'm interested. I guess probably next time, in principle, we'll have the ability to see what's in the Katakawa book, and I'm really I'm looking forward to see if there are any of those 10 words that come out in English.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, all right. So, I think we did it. Actually, I think we got to the end of the things that I was thinking about.
Ooh,
And we came in under 2 hours.
nice. I was
Nice.
expecting a lot longer.
I was too.
Yeah. But did we skip some? Did we
There's
get
more
what
we can
need?
talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, yeah, so I think then you might recall in the previous episode 43.5, that we solicited stories and anecdotes and thoughts about the past 1 year and past decade. Just sort of like anything that's kind of related to that. And I think we're sort of looking forward to kind of gathering together everybody's thoughts on this. But we are going to, I guess we're going to do that next time. Does that sound right? It's either we're going to do that soon. If it turns out that we get too much stuff that happens for next time, we might conceivably bump it one more time. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
I think that's plausible, but I don't want to sit on it too long.
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you to everybody who has answered. We have gotten 41 responses on our English form so far and 4 in Japanese. So
Oh,
That is
wow.
amazing.
thank you. Yeah. Thanks everybody for
4.
taking the time to fill that out for us.
Yeah. And so we will definitely get to it. And we are looking forward to talking about all these. But if you didn't quite get around to it, you still have a chance. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, sometime soon we're going to have, like, definitely by the time we have we are recording next time, we will have some idea of what's in the Kadokawa volume. But still, that might be still a good time to talk about it.
We do have a lead on that, which is exciting.
Yep. And I think it's possible that as soon as that hits my Tenso, that's going to be the trigger for me to send what's there, because I've been accumulating stuff there for a couple months.
Sure.
All right. Excellent. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out here in the chat. There's many of you today.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yep. So that is it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in about 2 weeks. We hope you'll join us then. And until then, see you.